Belief has absolutely nothing to do with spirituality, with awareness of what is. If there's belief or disbelief, there's a blockage. So, right off the bat, what does that mean? That means that you can eliminate all thought and memory. And this takes us right into direct awareness what is. If you're familiar at all with Norse mythology, the god Odin, whose name quite literally means he who is intoxicated on the ecstasy of consciousness, or he who is intoxicated on the frenzy of shamanic ecstasy. In the story, and all mythology, by the way, is a kind of technology. It's technology of consciousness. And it's pointing you directly to the truth of who you are. So, Odin has two ravens that flank him, Hugin and Munin, whose names mean thought and memory. And, according to the story, every day thought and memory, Hugin and Munin, leave Odin and circle Midgard and come back with stories of the happenings and the comings and goings on of the world. And of course, Midgard is you. Midgard is the intersection of all the 8 realms. It's the 9th realm, but it's the intersection of the 8 realms. So, in order for consciousness, which is ecstasy, which is wisdom, in order for that to come on in you, to come to life within you, and for you to realize that as your true self and your true nature, thought and memory have to be put aside. And there's obviously great fear in this, because the conditioning of thought and memory, which we'll just call the mind, the conditioning of the mind is that the mind keeps you safe, whether from hell or from some kind of psychic attack or from a physical attack, from being hurt, that the mind will keep you safe from death. But if you look at it very clearly, the mind can't keep you safe from death. It really can't keep you safe from anything. The mind is there as a tool for survival, but beyond survival, basic survival, food, water, shelter, clothing, the mind really has no value. Apart from that, it's entertainment, which is mostly what we use the mind for, is entertainment. Unfortunately, the addiction to the mind, the addiction to thought, and therefore the addiction to belief, and part of the conditioning of thought is the enshrining of thought as the crowning jewel of humanity. The intellect is seen as being the most advanced tool of consciousness or awareness that the human being possesses, and unfortunately that's not true. Well, fortunately it's true, but unfortunately the fact that that's believed is part of what is keeping us from evolving consciously into the fullness of our potential, of our being. And when you put the intellect down, which you must put it down if you would transcend your own limitations and discover the eternal truth of your own being, which is wisdom, which is joy, which is ecstasy, which is real love, not sentimental, romantic, ushy-gushy, the real thing, love, which is this intelligence that is the very fabric of the cosmos. It's pure light. And finally, when you see this, you discover that this light is it's what everything is made of. It's the substance of everything. You could call it grace, you could call it truth, you could call it peace. It is all of that. It is God itself. God alone has become everything. Everything that is manifest, everything that is unmanifest is God, is grace, is truth, is you, your true essence. Thought is a tool that appears within the field of consciousness. It's a tool for the survival of the human form. As long as you believe any story, as long as you believe anything, or disbelieve anything, you're not seeing clearly. You can't see anything clearly. Belief is the veil that covers truth. And the way that belief has been used often, especially in the old world, is not what it really means now. In the modern world, the word belief basically means to have a mental inclination towards something that you have no proof for. to cling to something that you don't know as if it were true. And then we call that faith, or we call that trust. And the truth of the matter is that's not faith, and it's not trust. Faith has nothing to do with belief. Belief and faith occupy two entirely different fields. Trust and belief occupy two entirely different fields. The moment you believe something, you destroy the possibility of actually and truly coming to know that something. So either you believe in God or you disbelieve in God, which is tantamount to the exact same thing. It's the same foolishness. Or you want to know, what is that? What is the source of creation? What is it? If it really is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, which it must be, if God is not omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, then God is not God. Obviously. If you look at the meaning of omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, they all mean the same thing. Each one points to one another. They imply one another. Omniscient implies omnipresent and omnipotent. Omnipotent implies omniscient and omnipresent. Omnipresent implies omnipotent and omniscient. Each one implies both of the others. And you can look at this very carefully. The easiest one to grapple with, they're all fairly easy to grapple with, truly, but the simplest one to handle, to hold, is omnipresence. Omnipresence means there's nowhere that it is not. Everywhere is a what? Every what is a where. Everywhere means everything. Truly, if you're going to take omnipresence for what it actually means, it means that there's nowhere that God is not. So what does that make God? A big man? No. Formlessness. And all form. That which has no beginning and no end, no birth, no death, which means outside of time, timeless, which means there's no distance between that and anything. It is all there is. There's nothing but that. Which means separation from God is impossible. There's the experience of separation, which is the experience of lovelessness, the experience of joylessness, the experience of peacelessness, the experience of suffering, is the experience of being separate from love.